Okay, some interesting and positive news possibly coming out of Germany regarding the Bundesliga. The Bundesliga is planning to return on the 9th of May as a provisional restart date. Now, the last game to be played was Borussia Mönchengladbach and FC Cologne on March the 11th in front of an empty stadium. So they were already playing games behind closed doors before the lockdown was enforced in Germany. Now, the German government, the federal government, has said that large gatherings are banned until the 24th of October. So the earliest fans will be allowed back in stadiums would probably be most likely next season anyway. And they're looking at delaying the start of next season as well. Now we know that Bundesliga clubs have been in training, closed training camps. So the players are getting their fitness back and keeping in shape, but their match fitness may be something else entirely. And they would require about 20,000 tests in order for this playing matches behind closed doors to go ahead. So it's interesting. It is interesting, and it's only provisional. It's not set in stone like the NRL planning to come back on the 28th of May, and it's not set in stone like World Snooker planning to have the World Championships at the end of July. So it is interesting, and other leagues should be paying attention to how the Germans are doing this. Now, Germany is a country made up of 16 federal states, and the federal states also have a say on public gatherings as well before going, and the federal government with Angela Merkel giving decisions. So there's a lot of politics involved. But UEFA's initial plan was to try and get all 55 top flight leagues in Europe. That's all the federations to get their leagues completed at some point or restarted at some point between May and the last day in June. But it only seems like Serie A in Italy and the Bundesliga in Germany are the only leagues that look likely to restart in May. So this puts pressure on the UEFA plan to have the Champions League and Europa Leagues played in like a mini tournament and finished off in August, because they've said leagues first. Now we know in Scotland Celtic are most likely going to be crowned champions at some point this week. The economics in Scotland are completely different to Germany, but the German clubs have said some clubs could go out of business, and the Bundesliga, while the club structures are different and how they're run, because the collapse of the TV deal in Germany, that has put extra strain on the Bundesliga clubs, and some clubs that are on smaller budgets or have smaller revenue streams are really struggling. So your Bayern Munichs and your Borussia Dortmunds are in pretty good health, but some of the smaller clubs not so good, and even Borussia Dortmund in their past have basically gone bankrupt. So it is interesting, and we'll have to see if this provisional date moves, and if they do get started, what other top flight European leagues, be it in the big five such as France, Italy, Spain and England do, or the other European leagues that still have outstanding games to play, what they decide to do, because it looks like there's going to be a split. Some leagues may declare their seasons complete or null and void. And Scotland's going to be the first league that I think in the top flight in European competition may not void the season but declare the season and then work out promotion and relegation in the league structure below. And that could be really, really interesting. So we'll see what happens going forward, but the Bundesliga planning to return on the 9th of May. What are your thoughts? Do you think there's a risk that there's a second spike in infections? Bearing in mind the average working attendance for backroom staff, ball boys, ball girls, TV crews and players is around 300 to 500 people, depending on the size of the ground in Germany, with the Westfalenstadion in Dortmund being the biggest stadium in the Bundesliga. So around 300 to 500 people will be in attendance at these games, making sure the matches can take place. That includes officials and players and such. So that will be interesting. And the amount of tests required, around 20,000 tests will be required for this plan to go ahead as a minimum. And that could be just from one match weekend. It's going to be interesting. We'll see if the provisional date moves and if and when the German league restarts, because it requires political decision making as well. But there won't be fans in attendance until October in German football. So that's an interesting note. Other sports and other leagues will also have to see how the German Bundesliga deals with this and going forward. Is it feasible to restart seasons or just declare seasons and prepare for next season? That's something that's on the debating table. UEFA are very, very keen to get seasons restarted. So it will be interesting to see if UEFA have to yield on more leagues declaring, like Scotland, which is a massive possibility right now, although it hasn't been totally set in stone. The Scottish clubs also have to agree to that. But thank you very much for watching. Please place your thoughts below, and I'll have some more videos for you very, very soon.